So this is what I've come up with. I turned it inside out because I wanted the sparkly stuff, all the stringy stuff on the outside. Now some of that kind of, oh, I don't even remember what that wool was, but it's real hairy. Now what I'm thinking about doing when this is dry is taking it to my sewing machine and doing some free motion quilting, especially to help hold down. I've got one spot where some of these, so I might do some free motion quilting, and I think that would look fun, and it'd be pretty easy to do. I had some wonky little pieces of, still have some wonky little pieces of wool in the bottom that didn't adhere. It's too small for a hat. You have to have a pretty small head, but I think I'd like it better as a bowl. But it needs to dry, and that's going to take a while, so I'm going to take it outside. Good morning, everybody. Today's video will be wet felting. Again, I'm going back to wet felting. Yesterday, I made a bowl, a wet felted bowl, and I did this on the spur of the moment. It was like all of a sudden, I just was tired of waiting and had to wet felt right then, or else I knew I wouldn't do it. So I did. Now, I have everything I need to do wet felting. I have a nice bucket, a gray bucket. That was very useful. I have a double sink. I have lots of fiber. And I want to talk just a second about this fiber. I have a huge bag of fiber. There's a little bit more. This is all fiber that I bought from the Woolery and from Shep's wool years ago. I'd say, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I used to spin it, and then I got into buying fleeces and cleaning the fleeces and doing kind of my own wool instead of buying stuff that was already dyed and processed elsewhere. I started to hand card and stuff. So all of this fiber has been kind of sitting around, not doing anything. Now this bowl, I wanted to make sure it was thick enough and heavy enough. I did make one a while back. I don't think I ever showed it to y'all. And it was too thin. I just use it at the farmer's market to put washcloths in that I knit and sell. So I wanted this one to be nice and hefty, and it is. It's nice and sturdy. It was 155 grams yesterday. It's 144 this morning because it's still wet and it's drying out. So the weight that it's losing is moisture. But I want to make sure to weigh the fiber I use in subsequent bowls to make sure that it is, as much. I love the light colored rim here. I love the changes of color here. Of course, I love all the interesting little decorative yarns that are in there. So yesterday I used some of this wool. This is all wool, 100% wool. Most of it is merino. This is actually domestic top that I bought in Franklin. So that would have been about 4 years ago. That's from a little store over there. This is that very interesting kind of hairy yarn, and I got it, I think, from the Woolery as well. I've got lots of blues because I love blues. All different. I've got about 5 different shades of blue. There's some kind of buff color. I didn't get very far down in the bag. There's some deep pink. I've got a good bit of orange, some more blue, a little bit of pink. I've got a good bit of lovely brown and some green. I've got all kinds of stuff. So I have plenty of fiber to do these bowls. I just, when I did bowls before, and I'll put a picture here of the 2 different bowls that I've made. When I did those, I was using a resist, and it took a lot of work. It was a workout to make those things, and it took several hours, and I just really didn't want to go that route again. But this is a totally different method, using a ball, like this ball or this ball, and it just makes it so much easier. And I was able to actually remove the ball from inside the bowl at the end without having to deflate it. I couldn't get it to deflate. I thought I would just give you a little impression of what it's like to make one of these, and that it's not quite as hard and overwhelming as you think. Let's look at the decorative yarns too, because those are very important. Now this little bag holds the ones that I used yesterday. It took very little of these kind of yarns. Some of them are just metallic, and I want to make sure and use this one again today because I think it really felted well. You're trying to get these non-wool yarns, these decorative yarns, to felt and grip into the other. I really liked having this one in there, this metallic. I may use it again or something very similar. This yarn did not incorporate as well. I had to snip some of it off. This, hello Lucy, this is some of that railroad track yarn. And it did pretty well. It didn't stand out in there. It does have a little metallic sheen to it. I've got a good bit of that kind of thing, and I may pull out some other. So let's look in the big tub and see what we find of decorative yarns. So here's my big tub of yarn. I've got it in place of several smaller tubs I used to have. Here's some more railroad track yarn, and I don't have a lot of this, but I think this would be great and would probably stand out. So I'm going to put it aside for today's project. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Now that would be nice. It doesn't have any little bumpy stuff in it, but very, very pretty. I think I'll put it aside too. Okay, some more possibilities are this one. Maybe that one. That one's kind of thick, but I do like the metallic. This one's nice and hairy. And against a light background, that would really stand out. I think that it would adhere well enough that you would have these little bumpy things, which might be fun. This one also has a lot of these little hairy things sticking off. And then I found this bag, which is full of lots of different decorative yarns. This is another real possibility. Got more of this one. Oh, look at that one. That looks fun. See, this is the same as another little ball I had. This one looks great. I've been saving these, not really sure what I wanted to do with them. There's these kind that have the little sequins. Now this would really grip well. Wouldn't that do well? So, I don't know. I'm going to pull out a lot. Here's another one. Purple sequin. Oh man, look at that one. Oh yeah. I've got some really good options for this. I've got some more railroad track yarn in here. I've got this one. Oh, look at that one. I've got that one. Here is a silvery kind of gray railroad track yarn. That would be fun sometime. Oh, that one would be good. Look at that one. I really need to get kind of a color scheme going. I've got enough I can really do that. Oh, wow. Look at that one. So I'm planning to make another bowl this morning and hope that both of the two bowls dry well enough by tomorrow that I can take them to the market and maybe somebody will buy them. I'm thinking about selling them for $30 a piece. That might be kind of cheap, but at a farmer's market, you can't ask studio gallery prices. All right, well, I'm going to get started, and I'll hopefully take you along a little bit on the process today, and you can see some of these yarns in action and what they're going to do, and then I'll show you the end result. Now those little decorative yarns are wet, and so they're willing to stick to that ball. I have them draped down, but if I put it into water, they would fall right off. So the only thing that's going to make them adhere together in that pattern is if I start laying fiber on there and get it to felt a little bit and hold everything together. So that's what I'm going to do next. Now, from yesterday's attempt, I feel like I've learned that I really need to spread the fibers out. You can't have the woolen fibers, bunched together. They don't really felt well that way. So I'm going to try to really spread them out, get my hands drier in between laying them on. Okay, so I'm going to let you watch a little bit of that and you can see how it comes together. Now it's to the point where it is starting to felt, which means that the wool fibers are starting to mesh together and grip each other. And when I look inside of here, I can see that it is like that blue doesn't really move off of the darker blue. So these top fibers are starting to felt. I don't know about the underneath fibers, but the top ones are doing well. I like these crazy pantyhose with the legs cut off because you can get a sneak peek and check on your felting process as you go. Now I've got this in cold water right now. I'm doing all the things to this fiber that you're not supposed to do usually to wool. I am deliberately felting it. I also want to full it. And the difference between felting and fulling is felting is the fibers grabbing together. Fulling is the entire thing shrinking. And so I want to get it to shrink later. Now I'm boiling water on the stove, and I'm going to put it into boiling water and then back into cold water and see if I can shock it a bit that way. I'm going to keep on scrubbing it like this. I've been at the project about an hour and 15 minutes. I've been at the rubbing section for 20 to 30 minutes so far. But I'm pleased with it so far. If this top edge here doesn't do what I want, if I've got wonky little pieces that are sticking out, I can always just cut those off. I know I've got at least a couple. But felted fabric is very forgiving. You can, if it didn't felt well, you can go back and try some more. And you can cut off things you don't like, just like the fiber. And after you cut off when you have a raw edge, you can continue to felt it with your fingers and get it softer. So it's really a fun process. Okay, I have taken the pantyhose off there. Pretty pleased with that so far. I can really work with it and make it felt even more once the pantyhose are off. That's just the preliminary step. I'm going to try to just pull this ball out of here. That's hot tap water in there. Let's stop that. I think I'll also put a little bit of soap in there. That'll help. Now, yesterday with the other ball, the ball was deflated enough, I was able to just kind of work it out. I'm just pulling it slowly out. It's about to come out. Now, oh, that's worrisome. Got a lot of these strings that did not attach like they did yesterday. All right, we're going to have to work on that a little bit. Wow, that's problematic. So this is the outside of the bowl, hopefully. Put a little bit of cold water in there so I can touch it. I'm going to have to really work this by hand to get these to attach. And this may take a while. You see these strings are, so a lot of them are loose, quite loose. Okay, that inside, or well, outside, I don't know how it's going to do, but I'm hoping enough of those little decorative yarns will stick. So I'm going to take this along with a couple of towels and run it through a hot water wash in the laundry. Let me show you what. I tried to put some more fiber on top of the strings to try to tie them down, but it would not adhere very well. I'm going to leave it on there. It looks like carnage, doesn't it? Maybe I should take that off later. We'll see. I can always cut off whatever's not fully attached, but I do think it might end up looking pretty fun. But look, I've got, chunks hanging off. That's how it is. All right, let's put this in the washer. And I think I'll leave this on the outside so it can really get worked over. We'll see what we get. That's art. You see what you get. So here's the finished product. The two bowls are similar in size. This one's a bit bigger. And it's plenty thick, so I didn't use all of the wool that I had weighed out. Now I've put the fun sparkly stuff on the inside. It was on the outside. You can turn it either way. I did have a lot of trouble with the ribbon. A lot of it I had to snip off, which is fine. Um, here's the outside. And here's the other side. I think it looks better when it's on the inside. So I'm going to try it that way. We'll see. So very subdued colors on this one, very bright and vibrant colors on this one. There you go, a little wet felting.